Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Kefine Klanar, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Kefine Electronics for providing the Klanar for review. To greatly appreciate it. Kefine Electronics, you rock. Alright, so the Kefine Klanar, this will set you back $121 from your bank account. It is a 14.5 millimeter planar IEM, 16 ohms of impedance, 105 decibels of sensitivity, and a frequency response range of 20 hertz to 40 kilohertz. The Kefine Klanar, this is a brand new company releasing their very first IEM. Kind of ambitious going with a planar IEM, but Kefine Electronics asked me if I was interested in reviewing it, and I said sure. I would be glad to give it a listen and review it on the channel. So here it is, the Kefine Klanar. Comes in this very simple unboxing experience, just the way I like it. You get a picture of the IEM, some branding on the front, some specs on the back, and then some more branding on the sides. Also, it'll advise whether or not you're getting the 3.5 or 4.4 variant. I was sent the 3.5 variant. 3.5 variant, it costs $119. 4.4 variant costs $121. A couple accessories that you get. You get this carrying case that says Kefine on it. Hard case. Little zipper. Got a pocket here for your accessories and tips. And then a bed for the Klanar to sit in. Very nicely built. Should protect the Klanar very well. And then you get two types of tips. You get a silicone narrow bore tip. These are shaped like olives or grapes. And then you get a wide bore silicone tip, which are a little bit more shallow. Both tips are fine as far as build quality. I had no issues there. Problem I had was they just didn't fit my ears. I tried both of them. Neither one of them really would give me a good seal, and neither of them would stay in my ears as the IEMs just kept kind of slipping out. Differences in sound signatures between the two tips also is present. The narrow bore tip will be a little bit more V-shaped and also a little bit more presence in the bass. And then the wide bore tip will be a little bit more balanced, and you'll have a little bit more air in space, and it won't be as V-shaped. I used the Clarion tip as I found that it was very similar to the stock wide bore tip. Alright, so the Klanar. The Klanar is very well built, and it's very simple looking. You got some branding here on the shells. They're not very thick. You only get it in one color, black. Metal shell. You've got a smooth back with a short nozzle. Got a fairly aggressive angle for the nozzle. There is L and R on each side so that you'll know which one is which. The cable does connect with a 2-pin connection, and it has a little bit of a plastic piece where the connection goes, and it's slightly curved. Does not impede or put any pressure or anything on the ears, which is nice. As far as the cable build, it is a rather nice cable. I was impressed by the build of it. Ear hooks have just enough tension. They could have just a little bit more. It's a tightly woven cable, but very well controlled. Has just enough stiffness to kind of maintain its form, but yet not enough to get all tangled and twisted. And then you have this metal split that says Klanar, and you have a cinch that stays in place. And then you have a metal casing for your termination. It says Kefine on it. And then either 3.5 or 4.4. The cable does not twist up for me. I find it's very well controlled, nice and light, well built. I like this cable quite a bit. The shells. So as I mentioned, it has a smooth stone-like backing and then a short nozzle. This has always been an issue for me when it comes to IEMs and fit. And unfortunately, the Klanar is giving me those same problems where they just don't stay in my ears very well. Hence the reason why I had to use the Clarion tip. I do find that the Clarion tip fits me better and gives me a better overall seal, and also just kind of stays in my ear better. I do have to loop the cable around my glasses in the back, and it kind of holds it in place a little bit more. If I leave them out on the other side of my glasses, they tend to be a little bit loose, but looping it around the back side of my glasses holds it in place better. Isolation of outside noises is very good. I find that it's somewhere about 65% of outside noises being blocked. The only things that you're going to hear are something super loud, like a garbage disposal, vacuum cleaners, coffee grinders, that sort of stuff. People talking to you, you're definitely going to have to pause the music and pull them out of your ears in order to be able to carry on conversations. Walking around the neighborhood, the only things that you heard were extremely loud vehicles. Did a very good job of blocking things out. I did not take any public transit trips, so I do not know how they would do in that or in very loud environments. But overall, I'm rather impressed by the build of them. They are extremely comfortable, other than just that you have to fiddle around just a little bit to get them to fit and stay in your ears. And the comfort of them is fantastic. Once I got them placed in my ears, I was able to wear them for hours and upon hours without any discomfort. The Kefine Klanar is rather easy to drive. I had no issues with it as far as a Planar IEM being powered by a dongle. It powered that just fine up to volume, but you could definitely tell it wasn't coming out to its full potential. The Kefine Klanar does scale with better power and better gear. So if you're going to be using the Kefine Klanar, I do recommend using a little bit more of a powerful dongle at minimum, and a DAP or desktop is preferred. I did use them with various dongles that had more power. Something like a Hibi FC4 sounded very good. Moondrop Dawn 4.4 and others that have a little bit more power are highly recommended. The Hibi R5 Gen 2 also sounded very good, especially running out of the balanced output. And then anything on the desk that I have from the Mytek Liberty DAC 2, the JDS Labs Atom Plus, the AUN S9C Pro, Audeze Deckard, AUN X1S GT, all were able to power it very easily. So how do the Kefine Klanar sound? The Kefine Klanar are a very, very well done, rather impressive IEM, especially for a first IEM from a manufacturer. I was rather impressed by them. The bass of the Klanar is very well controlled, and it has just enough sub bass presence to give you a little bit of rumble and grumble. Has nice mid bass presence that is got enough punch and slam to it, and then the upper bass has just enough presence without bleeding into the lower mids. It's not going to be a most dominating, overpowering, super high impactful, dynamic type of sound in the bass, but it's going to be a very accurate and true. It has enough authority to it. I do wish I had a little bit more body and a little bit more slam to it, but overall it's a very well controlled, very detailed, and nicely resolving IEM. The Klanar has good tonality, and everything sounds accurate and true in the bass. Going into the mids have a nice body to them. They are just slightly thin. I do wish that they had a little bit more fullness at times, especially in the lower mids. They can sound a little bit thin and a little ho-hum, but for the most part, it has nice body to it. Upper mids are slightly elevated, and there's nice presence and have just enough of the elevation to not go into fatiguing aggressive mode, but to have just the right amount of crispiness, edginess, and bitiness to the sound. And overall, the mids have a nice natural tonality to them, and they also have an ability to connect, especially in the upper mids. Lower mids, as I said, can at times be a little bit ho-hum. I wish I had a little bit more body and a little bit more energy. And then the treble has nice tone and timbre, and very good tone and timbre with an excellent amount of details and resolution. And there's also a good amount of sizzle and a nice amount of energy and sparkle without being fatiguing and too aggressive. Staging on the Klanar is actually really, really nice. I find that the Klanar has a good amount of width. It portrays different sizes of venues very nicely without being overblown, without being too far out there. It sounds very accurate and true. If it's a small, intimate stage, it's going to sound very small and intimate. If it's a little bit more large and grand, it's going to kind of expand out and sound that way. Depth is okay, and layering is okay. It's not the best at those, but also at the same time, you're not going to be disappointed. It just is a little bit okay in those fields. It does really well with imaging. It tracks things across the stage extremely well, and it's in this neighborhood, and it's a very small neighborhood. It's right in there. And you can place things very well, and you can tell kind of where things are on the stage as far as in front or behind each other. You can tell how they move, but when things get really close on a very complicated and a very engaged sound, they can get a little bit muddled. Now, it doesn't get confused. It just kind of puts things a little bit too close together. It could use a little bit more space and a little deeper sound. But overall, it's a very good stage, especially with tracking and width. Detail retrieval and resolution is very good throughout. I find that the details never were missed in a track, and everything that is revealed is resolved very well, and it has very good definition and very good focus, and you can really hone in on the details. Tone and timbre is very nice. Everything sounds accurate and true as it should, and it's very pleasing. So overall, I'm rather impressed by the Kefine Klanar. It's a rather impressive IEM for being a first IEM from a brand new company, and I do rather enjoy it. But how does it compare to a couple other Planar IEMs that I truly enjoy? And the first one is one that is similar in price, and that would be the Tin Hifi P1 Max. Now, the Tin Hifi P1 Max is a different presentation, as it is a little bit more neutral and linear sounding. I do find that the P1 Max has slightly better tone and timbre, has a little bit more body, and things sound a little bit more full. The P1 Max also is very similar in detail retrieval and resolution compared to the Klanar. It could edge it out slightly. There's a very small, minuscule amount of possibility being better when it comes to resolution and details, but they're extremely close in that regard. I do find that the P1 Max is slightly better with depth and layering, and it's not quite as confused and muddled at times in the staging. And then you have the 7 Hz Timeless. Now, the 7 Hz Timeless have a little bit better detail retrieval and resolution, and have a little bit better of a soundstage when it comes to depth and layering. And the 7 Hz Timeless is not as extended into the sub bass, but you do get a little bit more wallop in the mid bass regions. And then the Timeless has a little bit more leaning towards aggressive, fatiguing upper mids and treble regions. It has a little bit more a sizzle in energy, and if you're more sensitive to that, the Timeless will be a little bit more forward and bitey. Overall, the Kefine Klanar, yeah, I like these a lot. I'm rather impressed by them, and these are impressive. And I was rather surprised, didn't know what to expect, and I am pleasantly pleased, and that makes sense. But I like them a lot and highly recommend them. If you are interested in the Kefine Klanar, and you're looking for a Planar IEM in about the $120 range, these definitely should be considered, along with the P1 Max and the 7Hz Timeless. This has been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. And check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information down there regarding how you contact channel, follow channel, support channel. All that kind of stuff is listed down below. Speaking of supporting the channel, if you are interested, please check out the links for Patreon and YouTube memberships. I do want to thank all my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships. It's much appreciate all that you give to the channel. Thank you very much. All funds given to the channel do go back into the channel. Also, if you join through Patreon or YouTube memberships, you can get access to my private Discord servers and other benefits. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.